Good evening and welcome to the Let's Go Racing Motorsports Report. I am Mike Babicz, your host and the voice of the Wilmot Raceway and other area racing from time to time. This last weekend, I was part of the Wisconsin Sprint Car Championships up at the Plymouth Dirt Track. The IRA Championships were decided along with the Plymouth Dirt Track and Midwest Sprint Association 360 sprints. I got to call the action for the 1175 IRA Lightning Sprints. That's 1175 Sports Complex IRA Lightning Sprints. And we're going to have that champion on a little bit later. It was Mike New, though, out of Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin, winning the feature for the Lightning Sprints. Chad Stouthammer finished in second spot. And Mark Heinert, who is the Wilmot champion this year and also the overall Lightning Sprint Series champion. He finished up in third spot, and he is going to be our guest later on in this evening's program. In the Plymouth Dirt Track Racing Association, they have a track championship at Plymouth, as well as the traveling series, the Midwest Sprint Association 360 Sprints. Ben Schmidt out of Plymouth, Wisconsin, scored the championship. He also won the feature event on Saturday night. That makes everybody's job a little bit easier. George Ballman calling the action for the MSA. And, of course, Lauren Kelly and Chatty Maddie, calling the action for the IRA. Wing 604s as well as the wingless. And talking about the wingless, it was Johnny Fall out of Brown Deer, Wisconsin, scoring a very impressive victory, using every centimeter on that racetrack to come from the back of the pack and work the high side and score the feature win, his first of the season. Jimmy Sivia finished in second spot out of Winthrop Harbor. Bryce Johnson out of Pleasant Prairie finished up in third spot, finishing 12th, but getting his first championship for the Autometer powered by Gandrud Performance Wisconsin Wingless Sprint Car Series, Zach Radert out of Gurnee. And we are working to get Zach on a program in the very near future. And in the bumper-to-bumper IRA Outlaw Wing Sprint Cars, it was Scotty Thiel out of Sheboygan, a hometown driver, winning his first championship in the IRA Series after finishing 4 times in second. Finishing in second in Saturday night's feature was last week's guest out of Yorkville, Illinois, the Wilmot champion, Blake Nemi. Third spot went to last year's IRA champion, Brennan Crouch, out of Texas. Brennan now doing a lot of running with the traveling series, the various traveling series throughout the country, but he came and joined the IRA for the weekend. Brad J.J. Miller is going to be our guest here in just a little bit, but we also want to welcome and thank all of our partners here at the Let's Go Racing Motorsports Report. Of course, Hartnell Chevrolet coming on board just a couple of weeks ago, and they are located on 75th, on Highway 75, that is, up there just close to Highway 50. Also, Let's Talk Local is coming on board as well. John Hatterline, attorney at law. Force One Performance, B&L Office Furniture, American Tire and Truck Repair of Kenosha and Lindenhurst, Illinois. Great Lakes Dragaway, they are still racing. And we're going to be talking to John a little bit because they've got some big events, at least one more major event coming up in a couple of weeks up there at Great Lakes Dragaway. Steve Sinclair and the Bumper to Bumper IRA Outlaw Sprint Car Series. Wilmot Raceway, which has wrapped up its season, but we'll be having the banquet coming up in January. Of course, Hunt Club of Richmond, Fox Lake Harbor, Midwest Motor Coach, and Olson Transportation. They'll be transporting the veterans for the Lake County Honor Flight a week from this coming Friday, leaving the Foss Park Golf Course at about 11:30 in the morning on Friday, and then returning on Sunday evening. Again, if you've never seen that, I strongly recommend you go up to Mitchell Airport, particularly to see them come back, or anywhere along the interstate between Mitchell Airport and North Chicago. It's quite a sight to see. And check out Lake County Honor Flight's website for more information on that. MLS Auto Clinic, Eddie and Debbie Boyd, always helping out. Bodycraft, Mark and Tony Maglio, they always help out as well. Waukegan Harbor Marina and Greentown on the Rocks. We are going to be looking to secure a date for next spring for the Let's Go Racing Motorsports Show presented by Larry Roebuck. And one second. Brad, you need to do the text because I am on the air right now, Brad. Just hang in there, and we're gonna try to do something here a little bit different in a moment. I don't think we got Brad on the link, so we may try it a little bit differently here shortly. Impressions count. We be waxing Chad and his fine crew here in Antioch. They can clean up your vehicle, your boat, and get you stored for the winter. Buddies of McHenry, Culvers of Paddock Lake, A-Main Apparel and Diecast. Garrett and the Tennyson family do a great job there. Northern Illinois Council on Alcoholism and Substance Abuse, the Stars and Stripes Honor Flight. Bob Johnson has been on that flight, and he can help you out. Cabins on the Lake. Kathy and I enjoyed a very nice weekend up at Cabins on the Lake in Friendship, Wisconsin. If you want to get away, check out Cabins on the Lake. 5-Star Race Car Bodies. Contact Daniel Sanchez, Carl and Corey Schultz. They can help put you to work. Nielsen Enterprises. They can also put you to work over there in Lake Villa, whether it be a water vehicle or a 3-wheel or 4-wheel vehicle, snowmobiles, they got it all. Lake County Hose and Equipment, Bill Fusting and his fine crew, and RC Electronics also helping us out. We're going to try something here. We are live right now, and so I'm actually going to try turning up the volume on my cell phone and putting it on speaker. Brad is driving, and that's probably why we're not able to do this. And Kent, you're going to have to let me know if you are hearing Brad or not. Brad, go ahead and say hello, and we're going to see how this is working.
Hello, can you hear me, fellas?
Kent, let us know if this is working. Give me something in the chat, or even come on for a second and just let me know that this is working okay.
I can hear you guys.
Okay, well, he can hear us, so that's a good thing. So we've got Brad J.J. Miller, as you can see on my phone. His name is right up there. He races a little bit of everything. He has raced dirt track late models. He has raced asphalt late models. Brad, what else have you raced over your career?
I think I've raced just about anything except for an open wheel car.
Well, we could make that happen, you know.
If you want my mom to never talk to me again, that is the perfect way to do it.
I mean, you know, Randy Sipple always has those renter rides. I'm sure we could work out something.
We've talked, Randy and I have talked several times. He goes, we should just switch cars someday and go practice and have fun. I'm like, yeah, I'm afraid I'd be caught by the bug. That's the problem.
There you go. So tell folks out there a little bit about your season. I know you run, I believe you ran the entire Dirt Kings schedule this year, and you've also run some big asphalt late model specials. Let everybody know kind of how your season went and what you still got to do yet this year.
Well, actually, believe it or not, at 55 years old, it was probably one of the best seasons I've had. He's had a hell of a season himself. I think he won 11 features all around. So we raced at Slinger full super late model division, and we raced at Plymouth in the Super 6 Series division as well. For Kings, I did probably about 60% of the races. I couldn't commit to going to those races across the state. And with business and everything, it's really hard. A little tough to do the whole tour.
And we will let folks know too, because Brad's cutting in and out a little bit. He is driving, but he's driving hands-free, very safely. Are you on the way away from home, or are you on the way back to your shop?
No, I'm on the way to a customer's place to deliver a golf cart.
There you go. Well, and actually, I always give everybody a chance to say what their sponsors are and what they do for a living. Fill the folks in a little bit on your business and what you do.
Well, I was in the car, truck, and trailer business from the time I was 18 till the time I was 52. And my wife and I decided to start a golf cart business back in 2022. It's called BMRE Electric Carts. I sell Icon electric vehicles, and I now sell Icon gas golf carts as well. So between golf carts, e-bikes, scooters, we got just about everything you could have to have fun with.
Now, how many of those different vehicles actually can you race?
Well, depends if you build a club. You could probably race any one of them if you like.
That's kind of like the old mini modifieds that ran at Lake Geneva and then came over and ran Wilmot. Those guys just started out having fun in the backyard and decided, let's go race these things on an actual racetrack.
Yeah, I remember those days. I remember that.
For you, do you prefer the dirt or the asphalt? Or are you happy with either?
I'm going to be honest with you. I like them both. I drive for Kevin Barker out of Caledonia in the asphalt at Slinger. And if it wasn't for Kevin, I probably would have retired from the asphalt back in 2017 when I sold my car. And we joined forces, and we've had a lot of fun ever since then. And Kevin says, when you're ready to retire, I'll be ready to retire. So it's, Kevin just turned 60. I'm 55, and we've been doing this a long time. And it's a lot easier to go dirt racing than it is to go asphalt racing. When you go asphalt racing, you pretty much have to commit yourself to a whole day. So basically, we leave for the track at Slinger at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, get there by 2 o'clock, and you got, and you got a little bit of downtime, and you don't get out of there till 10, 11 o'clock at night, where to go dirt racing, it's a little easy. The track till 4 o'clock, and you unload, you go to a driver's meeting, you race, and you're done by 9 o'clock. So but I love them both.
Yeah, well, and I know your folks have been great supporters of me personally, bringing cars down to the car show over the years. They had USAC drivers drive for them. They had NASCAR drivers drive for them. Of course, the late Jim Sauter was one of their drivers that ran for them. Were there ever any ambitions on your end to try to go up to that next level, to go up and start running super speedways and that kind of thing?
No, that ship sailed a long time ago, my friend. We had an ARCA car, which was one of Dad's old Cup cars. It was a Laughlin chassis Ford Thunderbird that they had bought from Robert Yates, and we bought it from Mark Smith, and we raced ARCA back in 1998 and 1999 with one of my dad's super speedway cars, and we ran short track with it, and we were pretty successful in the races we ran. We ran 4th at Anderson, we ran 6th at Salem. I think we were running 5th at Winchester, I believe, when we blew a tire or something like that, but that's 30 years ago, darn near, yeah. So, but we did have a lot of fun, and it's too expensive for, at that point, I was creeping up on 30 years old. I'm 55 now, so we ran a truck series out of our own pocket from 99 to 01, and we sold the truck, and I drove for Bob Brevac in a couple races, and we enjoyed that, but my heart was in the short tracks. It was just, at that time, my two oldest children, Nicholas and Julia, they were just coming into the world, and it was time to kind of settle down and stay close to home.
And it's funny that you mentioned your kids, because I know we were trying to schedule a time for you to be on the show for about the last 2 months, I think. and one of the times you said, well, wait a minute, Mondays I can't do it because my son plays football. So
yeah,
how's
my youngest boy is 14. He's a freshman in high school, and he's full-blown football right now. So, yep, we got to be the football parents.
And how's his football team going this year?
They were doing really good. He had a slight concussion here a couple weeks ago, so he sat out a game. They played on Monday, and they lost to their biggest rival. He plays for Sheboygan North, and he lost to Sheboygan South by a score of 14-0. So he was a little bit on the crabby side after that. But I said after the game, I said, you got to remember one thing, Ryder. You win as a team, you lose as a team. I said, the nights that I don't do so good at the racetrack, I said, the crew didn't do so good either. That's the way you got to remember it. It's the whole team. It's everybody. So you just got to take the good with the bad, and hopefully there's more good than bad.
Did you have a background? Did you play football?
Absolutely not.
Mom wouldn't let you do that either, huh?
No, that was my choice. I was a grease monkey at school. I was, doing oil changes on teachers' cars and working on my own stuff, building this, building that. And, I was a grease monkey. I was the guy that threw the parties for all the high school kids. So that's where my fun came in.
And now going on into the future, do your kids have any ambitions to follow your steps and go into racing?
Not as of yet. My two oldest, my daughter Julia, she made us grandparents here 3 years ago, so her focus is on taking care of that little boy Malcolm. And Nicholas, he works for me. He's 22, and I don't think he can afford to go racing as of yet. But my 14-year-old son Ryder, he's all about sports right now, and I don't try to push him towards racing at all. If he wants to go racing, all he's got to do is say the word, and we'll be able to figure something out. But I want him to play sports. I want him to enjoy high school and all the years of his life before he's actually got to go to work for a living.
Well, I guess I'll put my plug in for sports. I'm a football official down here in Illinois. This is my 50th season officiating high school football, and basketball I've got 47 years in. We need younger officials. Like my wife always says, you guys are getting older and grayer and losing your hair. You need younger officials. So tell your kids, if they give up playing, think about officiating and make a few extra dollars and have some fun and still be around the game.
So that's where your extra money comes from. I see now.
It can't be from racing.
Doing that when you said you've been doing it for 50 years, so you started when you were 5?
Yeah, right around there. Right around there. So, I know that you're driving and we want you to concentrate on the road, but I got to ask you a question. It's actually up over my right shoulder to the left, I think, as people are looking at the screen here, is a wedding picture of my wife and I. We got married at Lake Geneva Raceway 18 years ago yesterday. And I've got to ask you, because I always ask people even at the racetrack, how many people were at my wedding? Were you at our wedding?
Was it during the fall special?
It was the last day Lake Geneva was open. I was not.
I was there the 2 years prior to that, but I was not there for the finale.
Oh, you just didn't want to bring a gift, so you didn't show up, huh?
I sent you a gift. You didn't get it?
No, I guess Kevin Dawson must have intercepted it.
I guess that's why that check never cashed.
There you go.
It was a big one.
There you go. Well, I know your mom is also very involved in the Southeastern Wisconsin Short Track Hall of Fame, which I was fortunate enough to be inducted into last year. And their induction is going to be coming up on November 2nd. And Matt Kenseth is going to be inducted this year. He was elected last year, wasn't able to attend, but he's going to be inducted this year. Are you going to be able to stop by the Hall of Fame on November 2nd and join us?
There's a good chance. I usually make that more often than not. So we'll have to see what happens this year. Got a lot of stuff going on with we have a place in Florida and they just got hit with hurricanes, so we might have to go down and do some reconstruction down there. So we'll have to see what happens. So.
Well, our prayers go out to you and everybody that got hit by that hurricane, not only in Florida, but a lot of the other states too as well. And you and I are going to have to talk offline because I happen to have some extra tickets for the last race, for the Cup race at Homestead in a few weeks. So if you happen to know somebody down that direction that would like to go to the race, like I say, we'll talk offline because the only thing is they got to sit by Kathy and I. But yeah.
Well, you know what? People will do a lot of things for free tickets, Mike.
There you go. There you go. Well, we are going to let you go. Real quickly though, any other besides your own business, anybody else you want to thank, sponsors that help you get to the racetrack each and every week, whether it be your dirt car or your asphalt car or anything.
Well, first and foremost, I got to thank my family, my wife, my kids, my parents, my crew. Kevin Bunker, who owns a Slinger car, and him and I own a Midwest truck together. And without these people, that wouldn't be possible at all. And I have so many sponsors. Mike, I'm telling you, I probably have. And you know, it's not a money thing. It's friends, and we exchange sponsorships on each other's cars, and we also sponsor a lot of cars. And we just it's just for enjoyment. We just love to do it. It's what we do. It's all I've ever known. I mean, I've been racing cars since I was 18 years old. So.
And unfortunately, I've gotten to announce many of your races, and I look forward to calling more of your races in the future. Who knows? Maybe asphalt or on dirt. I have never called a race at Slinger. I did sneak on the microphone and promote the sprint car Big 8 Series event that Kevin Dawson and I put on down at Lake Geneva the last year the track was open. But I never did call a race there. So maybe I'm going to have to talk to Todd Bailey and see if I can get up there.
Yeah, there you go. I'm sure Todd would love to have you.
All right. Sounds good. Well, again, safe travels to you, the best to you. And I'm sure we're going to see you around and maybe see you at the Hall of Fame induction on November 2nd.
Sounds great, Mike, and congratulations on getting in there last year.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Take care. God bless.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Again, that was Brad J.J. Miller joining us from somewhere as he was on the road delivering one of his vehicles that he does now. So, let's see. And I think we had some success with that as far as I know. And Kent, do we have anybody else in the green room? I don't have any notice from you at this time that we have anybody else waiting in the green room. We do expect Mark Heiner to join us in just a little bit. There he is.
Yeah.
He was just, enjoying the steak and lobster back there in the green room, I'm sure.
Yeah, you bet.
So, John, welcome to the program. And as we talked earlier in the week, you guys are somewhat the only game in town, at least the local area. I mean, there is the Oktoberfest going on up in La Crosse for the asphalt circle track racers. That actually starts Thursday night and goes through Sunday. We had Greg McCarnes, one of the promoters of that event, on with us last week, talking about that big event that they've got up there each and every year. And but as far as here in the Kenosha, Lake County area, southeastern Wisconsin, northeastern Illinois, Great Lakes Dragway is it. So
we're actually got some pretty neat things this week going on, and next week we're pretty busy here. We during the ladies' night, which is tonight, Wednesday night, we also have RC nights. and the RC track, the drag strip, is going over there. They're going to be racing through the end of October on the RC track, drag track out there, and there's a cash race on October 27th. And then the other neat thing that we got going on this week is the Chi-Town Showdown, which is the Outlaw and Pro Mod snowmobiles that are racing on the clay track. That they've been working on that for the last 3 weeks or so, and actually been working on it all summer. But they got the clay down, and there's going to be some Outlaw sleds, some Pro Mod sleds. They're talking even a nitro sled. They're talking 160 miles an hour and 500 feet. So that should be pretty entertaining to watch. Like I say, I've been watching those guys out there getting that track just absolutely perfect. And they've been out there with the earth movers and everything else in the rollers. And it's pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to that. We're doing our race, our Brew City Gas. We're doing our little elimination race on Saturday, just a bracket race for our own group, along with the fundraising that's going on. And then we also have the Wisconsin Outlaw Street Final that's coming next Saturday, and Friday the track will be prepped for those, and then next Saturday will be the final race for that. I'm going to see if next week might get Steve Roden on here, one of the guy that kind of started that race up and got it going. We'll see if we can get him on here to talk about that race a little bit. That's really exciting. 200 miles an hour in the 8th mile, under 4 seconds. That's a great thing. We'll also be racing that race. That's part of the Nitro Streetcar Brawl. And then the other great thing that we just found out too is they announced for next year, Funny Car Chaos that goes to all the tracks all over the country. Great Lakes Dragway is going to have the finals at September 26th through the 27th of 2025. So that should be really exciting. Probably close to 50 funny cars there racing. So looking forward to that.
And it's it seems like Randy and you guys just you've definitely taken Broadway Bob's ideas and just taken it to the next level. When Kathy and I have been up there to visit this year, I've just been very impressed by all the work that I've seen having been done around the facility. And like you say, I mean, you're not stopping. I mean, now you've got the clay track area for the snowmobiles. I mean, that is something that I'm going to be curious to see. I might have to sneak out there and take a look at that because I've seen snowmobiles. I actually announced snowmobiles on the grass over at Lake Geneva Raceway, but I've never seen them run on the clay. And so,
I haven't either. This would be new for me also. And when they said that, they are saying some of them can reach speeds up to 160 miles an hour at 500 feet. That's flying. Yeah, that's really getting it.
Yeah, that's for sure. So what time are they going to be doing that, Saturday or Sunday or both? Or they're
going to be doing it Friday and Saturday. Let's see if I had the schedule up here. They were talking about it. And they were I know they're doing it Friday and Saturday. I'm trying to see if I got some more of that. I just seen that they were posting it, and I thought, man, that's really pretty cool that they're doing it, at Great Lakes Dragway there. And I'm really looking forward to watching that and see what they got going on. But I know they're going to do qualifying and stuff during the day, and they're going to have like 5 or 6 different classes that will be going on. I'm sure. Yeah, I just had it up there, and it's should be really, really entertaining to watch, like I say, because I can't believe how much work them guys have been putting in that track. I go out there all the time and helping them, working on the lawnmowers and doing that. And those guys are out there. It's almost like they're building a highway. They're just out there with the rollers, and it's pretty cool.
Well, and Mother Nature's supposed to be pretty nice to us this weekend, from what I'm hearing. We were up last week at the Sprint Car Championships for Wisconsin up there at the Plymouth Dirt Track, and it was quite windy, but it was much warmer up that direction, just an hour and a half or so north of here than it was back here when we left. I mean, everybody was walking around in shorts up there and T-shirts. And on Saturday afternoon and even Saturday evening. And it stayed like that the entire time we were up there in Adams Friendship, Wisconsin. And they actually walked and saw the grandstand of the very first racetrack that I ever went to a race at, the Adams Friendship Fairgrounds. Cool. The grandstand is still there. They use it for their demolition derby, and they use it for truck and tractor pulls. They don't
cool.
They don't have an oval track anymore, but the grandstand itself is still there that I sat in many, many years ago.
Yeah, that's neat.
But
I
yeah,
did find the schedule what they got going on there for the snowmobile thing. If you want,
okay, go ahead.
So Friday, October 4th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. They're doing registration and tech, and then 3:30 is the drivers' meeting. They're doing qualifying at 5 p.m., 7 p.m., and 9 p.m. on Friday, and then Saturday, October 5th, 10:30 is the drivers' meeting, and then eliminations start at 12 p.m. for elimination 1, 2 p.m., 3 p.m. are the semifinals, and 4 p.m. will be the finals.
All right.
So I'm going to have to sneak over there Saturday while we're racing. In between rounds of racing, I have to go over there and see what's happening over on that track.
Yeah, that's for sure. That sounds like a definite plan. And then the following week, you mentioned the big event on the 12th, I think it is, a week from Saturday. What's the time frame for that one?
So that they're going to do Friday, they're going to have the total venue concepts out there again for the guys that want to test and have the track super prepped with a ton of glue on it. They'll have people walking out of their shoes again. And then Saturday, they're going to do the drivers meeting at like 10 o'clock in the morning. I think the first round is going to start at 11 a.m. for those. And then we're racing in between. When those guys do their elimination rounds, we kind of fill in, and there'll be other groups racing there too. During that whole event. And that's, like I said, some really exciting racing to watch.
And I know you said that it kind of goes according to Mother Nature, and as long as Mother Nature's cooperating, Great Lakes Dragaway will keep racing. Now, have you scaled it back? Are you now closed Monday and Tuesday, or is Tuesday still fun racing, at least so far?
Tuesday is still fun racing. We also got the drift track that's open. There's a couple of days during the week. It kind of varies what days they open, but the drift track stays open quite a bit longer. But in October, they'll start scaling it back a little bit, depending on what the weather is, I believe. But they still have, looking on their schedule, they got the schedule still going all the way through the end of October for Tuesday through Sunday. I guess we'll see how the interest goes in that. But if people are still interested, it's kind of funny because you never know what you're going to see out there. And with them being open, during Tuesdays and Wednesdays, sometimes you see a pro mod car come in or something that wants to do a test hit, so it's kind of, you never know what you're going to see out there.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, I've got to ask you, since my wife and I did get married at a racetrack at Lake Geneva Raceway, and we did have a wedding at Wilmot Raceway just about a month and a half ago. Tommy Sexton and Rhonda. Rhonda's from our fair board.
Oh, yeah.
Tommy's actually our 604 sprint car champion this year. And they got married in Victory Lane about a month and a half ago or so now. Has there ever been a wedding at Great Lakes Dragaway?
Yeah, there has. Yeah, I remember one probably 2 or 3 years ago, somebody got married. A lot of engagements announced there at Great Lakes Dragaway. Also, that's pretty cool, But yeah, there's been some there for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so again, if folks want to get married, a very inexpensive venue, get in touch with Randy. He'll work it all out for you.
You bet. They have a nice pavilion in there with they can even have their wedding reception in there. They got their Torque Alley Tap is right there, and then they have a little pavilion in there with a stage and a bunch of tables in there, so you could hang out over there too.
Yep, for sure. So again, now I think you mentioned that you picked up somebody for your social media.
Yes.
So again, where can folks always go for information on Great Lakes Dragaway?
Always on our website, greatlakesdragaway.com, and social media, Facebook. If you look up Great Lakes Dragaway, that's on there. There's Great Lakes Dragaway, the first 40 years is a kind of a neat page with the history on there. And if you look up the groups that race, like Wisconsin Outlaw Street, they're on Facebook. We have a Bruce City Gasser page on Facebook. Any of the groups that pretty much race have a Facebook page there. Or you can call and talk to Randy. He's answering the phone there. He's at 262. I got to get you the right phone number because there's a couple of them there. Make sure you get the one that Randy's on. It's 262-878-3783.
Okay, so again, I think I might sneak out. And my wife just told me that she's going to go out of town in a couple weeks, so I'm going to be a bachelor. So maybe it actually happens to be on Saturday the 12th. So
Oh yeah.
I might be able to come up and enjoy the big show on Saturday the 12th.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That should be a great time. Definitely come out if you're going to come out. Look us up. We'll be out there and right behind the tech shack in that row. But yeah, it should be entertaining. I love racing at this event because when I'm not racing, I'm there watching those guys go. So it's a good time.
All righty, and again this weekend, the clay drags for the snowmobiles I presume it's the first time you've ever done that at Great Lakes.
I don't know if they've done it before on the clay because I know they had the grass drags there, but this might be. I'm thinking it might be. I'll have to ask Randy that. Yeah, but it's first time I'm gonna see it for sure. Yeah.
Well, I might try to sneak on out Saturday for a little while too, because that definitely sounds interesting. Well, John, as always, we appreciate you coming on. We'll be in touch between now and next week as to what day we're going to be doing the show. And
Okay.
we'll get it all worked out and set up. And that'd be great if you could get somebody on that could talk to us even a little bit more about the event on October 12th. That'd be
Yeah,
super.
definitely try to get Steve on here. He's kind of put that together and he's doing a great job running it. And so he can tell us a little bit more about it. Yeah.
All right. Sounds great. Thanks again, John. Always good talking
You're
to
welcome.
you.
Yeah, nice talking to you, Mike.
Take care. Bye-bye. Again, that was John joining us with our weekly update from Great Lakes Dragaway. And hey, if you're in the area, something new as far as we know, snowmobiles on the clay. So we'll see what they do this weekend up there at Great Lakes Dragaway. I'm looking forward to that. And then on October 12th, their big event as well. So now we're going to bring in out of the green room a champion, actually a two-time champion this year. He doesn't win once, he wins twice. And he wins the Wilmot Championship a couple of weeks ago, and then he wins the 1175 Sports Complex IRA Lightning Sprint Series Championship, wrapping that up this last Saturday night, part of the Wisconsin Sprint Car Championships up there in Plymouth. So Mark Heinert, welcome to the program and congratulations.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for the invite. Thanks for letting me on. And yeah, it was a great year. Obviously, better than we had expected originally. So,
well, I know when we talked last time, you kind of admitted that you almost had hung up the helmet. You almost had given up racing and kind of got talked out of coming out of semi-retirement, we'll call it, and decided to keep racing, and now it's turned out real well. 5 championships at Wilmot now.
Yeah, 5 at Wilmot and 2 IRA. So it's been a great run.
And again, this year, I know we've talked to different drivers during the course of the season this year on the show. A lot of them say they don't points race. They don't watch points. But then a few have admitted as we got closer and closer to the end of the year toward championship night, and all of a sudden they're in the running, then they started watching them a little bit more. What about Mark?
That's true. I really don't look at the points for the most part throughout the season. I just have never, I guess, looked at them. But then when you get down to the last couple of weeks, like it becomes the buzz, right? Like especially the way that it kind of went down this year, both on the Wilmot side and on the IRA side. People were telling me, right? Like I didn't really want to know, but people were mentioning it in my ear and saying, hey, it's closer than you think it is. And, so yeah, I would say the last 3-4 weeks, I kind of knew where we were. I really didn't think it was possible. Obviously we needed some good luck and some good fortune. And unfortunately, some of my competitors need some bad luck, right, for things to turn the way that they did. But yeah, I'd say I don't really look till the end. And this year I didn't really look at all, but people told me. One of them being my dad. He's on the internet checking that stuff out, and he's obviously one of my biggest fans. So he kind of rooting for me and kind of keeps me posted where we're at. So.
And now, if I don't have the complete final points, you were the champion. Nick Petska ended up finishing up in second spot, I do believe. And Brian Strain Jr. dropped back to third, if I got that correct.
Yep, that is correct. Yep. So,
and I know Brian's crew. I mean, I went in the pits because he didn't come out for his heat race, which had us all perplexed up in the tower. And so I ran down to the pits and walked up, and his dad was working on the car, and he had some other people working on the car, and they're sitting there holding these parts from the engine. And I said, "Do you guys know what's up?" And they're like, "We're guessing. We're trying to figure this all out." And then I talked to Brian, and he's like, I really don't know if we're even going to get out there. They apparently got it all back together because he started in the back and he was moving pretty good. I think if I remember correctly, he finished like 7th in the feature, which isn't bad when you're starting last.
Yeah. He definitely was struggling the last couple of nights with the same thing that we struggled the last night at Wilmont for the festival. We blew a clutch similar to what he blew the week before, and then he blew one the same night we did, and then I think that's what he was struggling with again on Saturday night. So proving that these new engines are obviously fast, there's no doubt about that, but they do have their weakness, which is the clutch. And so I think that's going to be one of those things that we added to our checkoff list, is some things to look at and some things to maybe spend time on that we hadn't in the older engine stuff. But we got burned the same way that he did the last night at Wilmont, where I lost power. So,
and for folks that are out there that aren't familiar with your kind of racing and your kind of engines, can you explain a little bit where the clutch is in the actual engine and kind of how it works? I mean, is it, in the old fashioned days when I learned how to drive eons ago, and it was a 3-speed on the tree, you had to push the clutch in on the floor. But I don't think you guys push a clutch in. And so how does yours work?
Yeah. So the clutch is on the right-hand side of the engine. We're running, GSXR 1000 motorcycle motors. So there's a cover that comes off and the clutch is underneath it. And unlike what you're talking about with the clutch on the floor, we have a hand clutch. And so my hand clutch is on my left-hand side, hanging out the side of the chassis. Some guys have it mounted on the right side. I think it's all kind of personal preference, what people like. But it's just a standard pull clutch from like a motorcycle. You pull it back. We use it at the beginning of the night to kind of get into gear. We'll go into second gear, and then we'll race the whole night in second gear. So we're really not changing out of second gear once we hit the track. Some guys will, go into first gear, getting out on the track, and then shift into second gear once it gets close to the start of the race. Some other people just stay in second the whole night. So clutch, as far as physically using it, you're only using it to get going. And then after that, obviously it's still being used, but you're only in second gear with it.
Now, again, if this sounds like a silly question, and I apologize, but can you have an automatic, just like we have an automatic in the car nowadays, instead of a clutch and having to shift? Can you have an automatic in a Lightning Sprint?
So like with our series, you have to run stock configuration with the motors. So in our series, you couldn't, just because we check for gears. We make sure that everybody leaves in all the gears, even though we're only running second gear. Obviously, it'd be advantageous to take out the other gears because they're rotating mass. But we do, as part of one of our techs, we check to make sure that everybody keeps all the gears in the gearbox. So our club, the Lightning Sprint group as a whole across the country, has kind of locked out some of the rules just to try to make it so that people aren't doing some crazy modifications to make these motors even more expensive to run.
So now that the season's over, are there any specials? I know the wingless are going to be running. Some of the guys are going down to Circle City this Saturday night on a rescheduled race that was actually rained out this past Saturday. And then 2 weeks, I think, after that, the 18th and 19th, if I recall correctly, the dates, they're going to be down at Route 66, or Raceway, running with the World of Outlaw sprint cars as a support class. Those are non-point shows for the wingless, but a lot of the guys and gals are still going to go ahead and run just because they want to get a few more nights in before before the snow flies. What about the lightning sprints? Are there any specials you guys could try to go hit, or are you pretty much done?
Yeah, I think there's probably one left. Some guys have run it in the past. I know it's on my bucket list to probably hit before I completely call it a day. But Hubstead down in southern Indiana, I think they have a race coming up this fall. I think it might be either this weekend or next weekend. That's with a different lightning sprint group. So some guys have run that. It's a totally different track. Some guys have liked it. Some guys have not liked it. But yeah, there is, I think, only one really left across the country that we could really go to yet.
And I know from time to time, Tom Brown, a different Tom Brown than the Tom Brown that's at Wilmot, would come up. He lived here for a lot of years, and every now and then he would come up and run once or twice, usually around fair time, and visit some family up here. But his car was just a little bit different than the IRA Lightning Sprints. Is that something that the group has seen? I mean, is your group kind of confined to just your kind of cars, or are you able to get cars from other series? Like we had this last weekend. I think we had somebody from Central Illinois, that came and ran with us this last weekend up in Plymouth.
Yeah, no, I'd say that the groups across the country have done a fairly good job of trying to keep a lot of the rules to be very similar, so that you can go, if you want to travel, to some different areas and be competitive. You could run our car up in North Dakota. The Nationals are up there. We ran those last year. Potentially they're on our bucket list for next year to go back up to North Dakota. You can go down to Missouri, which I think is where Tom Brown's group is. And then there's a group out in Ohio. So there are several groups around that you can actually go race with. The rules are pretty close, that you could definitely blend in and kind of be competitive with them, just like they've come up by us as well. Tom's come up. I think Chastity from Missouri came up a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, she had a bad night and wrecked pretty hard. But we've had people bounce around throughout the years, come up and visit us. And some of our guys have gone down. I know Brian Strand Jr., he ran early in the year, several places down south with the different groups. So you can definitely do it if you've got the time and you got the energy and want to chase it, you could chase it. So.
Well, and talking to Brian when we had him on the program, and also talking to him again on Saturday, the car's for sale, and he's looking to go Badger midget racing next year, pretty much on a full-time basis, to run with them on their entire series, not only at their home track of Angel Park. Hopefully, at least once we'll see him at Wilmot. That's kind of become a tradition for Badger to have one show at Wilmot each year. And then they run, I think they go down to Sycamore, some of the same tracks that the IRA Lightning Sprints hit. Have you ever had thoughts of getting into something besides a Lightning Sprint?
So we ran our Lightning Sprint as a midget back, I think in the mid 2015, 16, 17, 18, when the Badger midgets really were lean on car count. Quinn had invited us up, and actually I ran up at Angel Park and led the feature for a little bit in my Lightning Sprint until Bill Baylog kind of gave me a tap on the back bumper and said, "Hey, you're not going to beat me tonight." Cushion in 1 and 2, and so I ended up finishing second or third. But with the midget, they were running full midgets, we were running a Lightning Sprint. So always loved the midgets. I'm a huge fan of them. I have a historic midget in my garage that was my father-in-law's back from the 70s that I'm going to be kind of working on as a restoration project. But as far as me running something else, I think at this point in my life, it's probably not going to happen, just because it's a complete start over and I'm getting kind of old. So.
Well, and you've also got youngsters now, and they have interest in a lot of things, and sometimes it's not just racing. But are any of the kids possibly interested in getting into racing at some point?
I think they both love racing from being around it. My oldest, who now has her own license and is out driving and doing stuff. She's been at a racetrack from the day she was like 8 years old. I was racing go-karts up at Road America. It was her first race for the Super Nationals back in 2008. So she's been around racing her whole life. She loves it. I don't think she has the passion it takes to go drive, but she has the passion to be an awesome fan. And now she's chasing the boy race car drivers. So I think her interest is more of the, she'll always be a fan. She'll always be close to it, but never be in a car. My younger daughter, she definitely has potential interest. We might get a go-kart and give her a shot at that and kind of take it back to where I started my whole career, is out at Dousman, and see if she takes a liking to it and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize how many race car drivers in a lot of different venues, including the late Alan Kowicki, got their start and at Dousman, with the Badger Kart Club, and I've been there. I actually they had a media deal and they let us go out on the track. One time. So that was a lot of fun. And then I actually got to do a media deal at the Road America on their go-kart track. Sure. They actually put us out there with the IndyCar drivers, which was probably a big mistake because those guys seem to have a little bit more, more experience in driving those kind of things than us novices did. But we had some fun. It was fun.
The go-karts are a blast. It's a great way to get some exposure, and then you kind of learn how to race really close. If you look at a lot of the really good car drivers, a lot of them have go-kart experience, and it kind of gives you the feel of running close to people, how to race people the right way. I'm a huge fan of Badger Kart Club, huge fan of what they do up at Road America Kart Club. Great tracks, great people. Obviously, I spent 12 years in a go-kart, so very fond of that. And I was fortunate this summer to actually buy back my first go-kart. So it's in my race shop and it's going to be hanging from the rafters. It's something I've been chasing for a lot of years. I really wanted it. And so I was able to find it. And so it's going to get restored this winter, and it's going to go up with all my trophies and stuff up in the rafters. So
have you found your first lightning sprint?
I don't know where my first lightning sprint went. I bought it from Ron Branham. It was Jessica Branham's car. So that was my first car, and obviously got my first win in that car, flipping over the finish line at Wilmot, which is kind of a weird way to win, but I have no clue where that car went. I sold it to a guy out of Lake Geneva who was going to run it, and then he never did run with us. And I don't know if he resold it or if he still got it or where it is.
That's kind of interesting. It's always interesting to find out where different cars are. And I know next year with the 75th at Wilmot, Chris Klemko and Jenny have been talking about wanting to do some special things. And the mini modifieds, Hermes Schultz has already brought up Dr. Tooth. Ken Johnson actually volunteered Hermes cars. That apparently there's a bunch of them at Hermes barn. And they're talking about bringing them out some night and just, putting a little exhibition race on. And Jim Mullis and John Tierney are talking about putting a couple of the old IRA type super modified / sprint cars together. Sure. And they want to bring them out for Founders Night. And it was funny when John was talking to me. He says, well, I got the car and Carl gave it to me and it's in parts here and part of it's behind the shop and part of it's inside and it's all apart. But he says, I can put it together. He goes, now, if I do this, are you guys going to let me, make some laps in it? Yeah. And I said, sure, John, I'm sure that they'll get it worked out. You'll get to make some laps in it. He goes, okay. Yeah. He goes, now the last thing I got to make sure is my driver's suit still fits.
That's probably a problem for a lot of the old timers.
But I think it's going to be a lot of fun next year at Wilmot. And if folks happen to have photos, articles, stories, whatever from the years gone by, hey, Sean's joining us there. Hi, Sean. Good to see you, buddy. And if somebody has anything, they can get in touch with me. They can get in touch with Jenny at the fair office, because we're going to be trying to put something together during the off season to have a lot of the history of Wilmot. I mean, 75 years is going to be a pretty big challenge, but it's going to be a lot of fun, I think. And, hopefully a lot of special events with some of the older type cars that, people at least get to look at And maybe you could at least, bring your go-kart down from the rafters.
Yeah.
And bring
Maybe I'll have my midget put together by then. Like, it's been on my bucket list for a while. I've got the engine out of it, and I've got the frame all taken apart. So if things go well this winter, it's going to hopefully get restored. And it's a 1976 Sesco. It's a Curtis copy with a Sesco in it. So it's a unique car.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Sounds like it for sure. Well, I've mentioned a couple times now that the Wilmot Banquet is on January 6th. And I know the Lightning Sprint Banquet. Why don't you give the folks a little bit of information on that in case they are interested in getting tickets, who they contact, how they contact, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so our IRA banquet is the beginning of December. It's the first weekend in December. I think it's like December 7th this year, 6th or 7th. It's that first Saturday in December. It's at 1175, which obviously is one of our big series sponsors. It's been there the last several years. The News, Larry and Mike kind of head up the whole banquet with part of their duties on the board. So both of those guys definitely know more than I do. I'm no longer on the board, haven't been on the board in a couple of years now, but they definitely will be posting on IRAlightningsprints.com, and I'm sure there'll be some press releases on when it is, but it's the first week of December, 1175, which is obviously a great little bar down in kind of Union Grove area that's very supportive of racing at Wilmot and obviously our series as well. So.
Yep, and they've already asked me to MC it, so I'm looking forward to that. And now they also, we talked a little while ago about the Southeastern Wisconsin Hall of Fame's induction. It's my understanding are they going to recognize some folks for their contributions to the organization?
Yeah, so the Lightning Sprint, I think Larry and the board a few years ago started a Hall of Fame for the Lightning Sprints. I think we're probably going on our third or fourth year of that. And so several people that have been integral in obviously making the Lightning Sprints what they are in that Hall of Fame. One being that Tom Brown that you talked about. Tom is in the Hall of Fame. He obviously was a huge part of the Lightning Sprints back in the day. Ron Branham. There's a bunch of others too that have made it. So yes, I think there's either 3 or 4 inductees every year that they put into the Hall of Fame for the Lightning Sprint. So it's kind of a neat deal. I know a lot of us hope someday that we get in. Hopefully I've done my part in the last 12 to 14 years of running these things to hopefully push the sport forward and someday might get there myself. So.
Well, I know sometimes folks say, okay, you won the championship. You've won 5 at Wilmot, 2 with the IRA. Some say, I'm going to go out on top. What's Mark Heinert's plans for 2025?
Yeah, we don't really have a plan yet. It's more than just Mark that makes that decision. This team has been a team that my parents have always really been supportive. Obviously, I own the team, but my parents come to every race, except for when my dad was ill a few years back. He didn't make any races that year until the last one when I won my last championship. So definitely will take their opinion on what I should do. My wife, who's hugely supportive, you've probably seen her in the stands with my daughters a lot of the nights. They will have a say in it. And then my crew chief, Chris Hogsted's been with me since 2014. We've won a lot of races together. He's been a huge integral part of who I am as a racer and the success I've had. So Chris will have a say in it as well of kind of what he wants to do. So don't really know what 2025 brings yet. We're still enjoying, obviously coming off of last week was kind of a surprise. I didn't think that we would get the IRA just because Brian had done such a good job of, really dominating most of the year. He won a lot of races, just like I won a lot of races last year. I really thought he was going to break my record of the 8 that I won last year because he was well on his way to beating me on that until the last few weeks. So don't know what's coming up for me, but we'll figure something out over the winter here. If I come back, it probably won't be as a full-time racer, I don't believe, just because it's 26 years and there's a lot of things that you give up. Any of us that have raced and you've been around this business a really long time. You give up a lot of stuff. And so like this year, I didn't even take my boat out of the garage. It's still winterized. Didn't even enjoy that. And so there's some other things that at my age, I want to kind of maybe enjoy, and with my daughters getting older before they're gone, maybe do some things that we don't get to do when we're chasing racing every weekend. So we'll be back, I'm sure, at some capacity. I just don't know if it'll be full-time or not at this point. We might do a little bit of traveling. We might do some different things, might hit the nationals. There's been a lot of discussions that have been kind of thrown at the board to see what sticks. Well,
if you do decide to not race on a few nights, and I happen to be announcing wherever you're not racing at, you're certainly welcome to join me on the microphone. I think it'd be a lot of fun. You never know. I mean, this shirt here is from the last event ever held at Lake Geneva Raceway. And ironically, my wife and I were coming home from Adam's Friendship on yesterday, actually, afternoon, and we wanted to get some pumpkins for our neighbor kids that watched our cats.
Yeah.
And I said to Kathy, I said, why don't we take a ride by the old track? And so we're coming down 120 and we turn on Bloomfield Road.
Yep. There
is a wagon with pumpkins and gourds and all this kind of stuff. Nobody's around it. It's strictly, honor system. And we stopped, we picked up some pumpkins, we picked up some gourds. And, we gave those, actually, she gave them to our neighbor today. And we've got a couple more that we're going to give to the boys that she watches their dog. And it's just so funny. I said, this, who would have thunk? We're on, because yesterday was actually our wedding day, our anniversary. And I said, who would have thought we stop at the racetrack? And that's where we get our pumpkins. So you never know what you might find.
You never know what you're going to find. And it's sad to see some of those places go, because I remember obviously going to Lake Geneva and hearing you out on the mic and watching racing there and spending time at the motorcycle track as well at Lake Geneva. So it's kind of sad to see all of that gone, especially with some of the talk of some of the other tracks that we hear now that potentially are throttling back. So always sad to see one go.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you for taking the time and congratulations on a double championship year this year. I'll look forward to seeing you on, I believe it's December 6th, if I'm remembering the date correctly. So it was Saturday, December 6th up there at 1175. Looking forward to a great evening. And you get to help me now because we do want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Until we see you next time, this is Mike Babicz wishing you a pleasant evening, the best of tomorrows. Remember, kids, just say no to drugs. Thanks. Good night. God bless. And let's go racing, everybody. You missed your cue, Mark. That's all right.
I did. I got to work on it over the winter, I guess.
Yeah, there you go.